Hey everybody, welcome back to another Stone Face Reactions. I'm Theta, and we're here for episode 3 of Crest of the Stars. So far it's been a lot of world building, right? And a number of questions have been left in my mind about, I'm gonna say what we're doing here. Not what we're doing here, I guess about the world building, right? Or say the events of the first episode still. I think the only lasting question in my mind about last episode was the video that got shown at the end with the impetus being that it was the tape that had seemingly fallen out of the I want to say purse, but it looked more like some sort of large package, like she was a traveling person and not somebody that just needed a purse for the day. Like it looked like that was some sort of like larger cassette, like retro future technology, that sort of thing. And that was the thing that was shown there, considering that we had all those people at the very end looking stone faced at the at what was being shown to them. I believe I had said that it looked like the last stand of Earth sort of thing. Only because of that military person's silhouette, very much reminded me like of a Vietnam shot. Um, though I am now wondering what might have happened to that old lady, because she was obviously very publicly speaking out against the. Sorry, I'm gonna still call them the Ob because that's how it looks in English. Although I have been told, um, no comment, not yeah, no comment response today. But in our Discord, once again, uh, the patrons have been telling me information. This time coming from Alro Savant, who you might know if you've been watching this channel for a while, has been sponsoring the Raw Zaphon uh, watch. I don't know. Lots of channels call their content different things, right? Some call them projects, some call them other things. Obviously, I guess the thing to call it would be a reaction, but it's not just a reaction. We watch stuff here and we react to it, sure, but we like to try and break it down and have a discussion with you, the people that are watching it. So, I don't know, project? Something. It's something. Whatever we're doing here. Alro Savant in the Discord is the one supporting the Raw Zaphon version of that, and they tried to help me to understand at least the intro basics of what the author had put out in the books of the language of the Ob, which I will say, obviously, I'm too dumb to pick that up on a first visual. Maybe when I'm taking my notes and I'm paused and I'm writing stuff down so I can bring up the Discord and look at what you've typed and I can just all right, this. If you ever see me doing it in the fast forward notes section, a lot of it's me typing stuff and referencing my notes and everything like that. Otherwise, yeah, I want to know about that. And relatedly, I want to know if that connects to the fight that looked like we had in the first episode, the part that was untranslated, and then weirdly translated into English, right? The second audio that we hear in the show, I think, unless it was like a mix of other languages in that first bit that I couldn't understand, the second language we hear in the show, in the subtitled version, which means the default language should already be Japanese, was English. Which is why, again, I'm guessing that we're referring back to Earth and Earthlings because, I don't know. Just something about me wants to say that if we were going to try and make a default language for Earth, it would probably be English. So, especially if this is a show from another country, that to express the otherness of a united Earth, maybe, we might use English. If English isn't then our own language, make the Earthlings seem alien in a universe where we don't come from Earth. I don't know. Now I'm just talking craziness. Um, what else? Where did Rena go? That's still on top of my head. And twice now, we've been indicated to a character where I've been. Maybe that's Rena. You know, the old lady sitting at the spaceport at the end of episode 1. I was like, oh, that person kind of looked like Rena. Maybe that's what he was thinking. And I recall in the beginning of episode 2, there's that old lady who's just like staring at Jinto from across the spaceport. I'm like, maybe that's Rena. I just feel like every episode I'm gonna get a case of, is that Rena? Other than that, I think most of my other questions are just, wondering what's going to happen and such. Because I believe this episode is going to be about Jinto and Lafiel going on to the patrol ship and meeting their crew. In the next time on, I recall there was a person. Let me look at my notes here. Abrielle. Abrielle that Jinto seemed surprised to have seen. And I think the scene in which they are shown together, she is the girl with the weird, giant, puffy hair that comes back down. Yeah, that it was just coincidence that he says it, and then they showed that hallway scene. So I'm expecting some sort of flash of the past, sort of thing. Although I don't, there wasn't anybody that kind of looked like that in his. Let's see, he's 15 now. So when he was 8, I don't recall anybody like that. So there would have to be a new intro, a new background character. All right, I have been rambling for the 5 minutes, I think, that I usually give myself before we start these things up. So I'm going to go ahead and get into it, and then I can give you my post-episode thoughts after that, and then, I'll do all the notes thing, and I'll hit you back up with any new discoveries I may have made. There's going to be a time, I'm just going to warn you now, there may be a time eventually where I make no discoveries in my notes. I just write down a bunch of notes that aren't worth talking about. And if that's the case, that's the case. I got nothing to say about that. Otherwise, let's just go ahead and get on into it. Twilight Zone. We're at our limits.
Kimco's main lag, barquertimanta, lan goris nesnessa crofer sota dado, in a fadi, lan gor dallata, loal masculag lo lescuta sculag. Parmen fral.
Are we talking in the Ob language? Is that what's happening here? There we go. That explains the entering the sword thing. Also, that explains that question mark thing in the... Oh, we'll take that right into the... Okay. Alright, well, y'all might remember the comment response from episode 2, where I believe Rogue wrote out a thing. Well, here, we're in the opening. I can bring up my notes again. Did I keep the comment section in my notes or not? I probably didn't, because I tend to delete them. No. Well, you know what? Again, we're in the opening. I can bring up the Discord right quick. Let's see, what do they write down here? Where's that question mark at? During this era, the scarcity of yuans dropped so that instead of colonial hubs, it became possible to introduce starships. The scarcity of yuans. I don't... Yep, there's going to be a pause reaction thing. Not a pause reaction. There's going to be a thing to investigate once we get to the notes, so that I can pause and go back and see what they said. Because they said the yuan were important to this. And I really want to go back and reread the wording on Sport, because that's been a question since episode 1's beginning. But I don't know how the scarcity of the yuans helps anything.
Jinto, 見るがよい。え？あれがゴースロス？そうだ。このカリークよりはいささか大きいであろ
I don't yet understand the distance. In perspective.
Yeah, すごいな、本当に。何を今さら。だって遠くからじゃわからないよ。
Exactly.
君たちには空識覚があるからいいけど、そんなかわいそうにって顔しなくても、僕にはこれが当たり前だったんだ。
I was gonna say it's
そうだ
helpful.
ったな。では特別にゆっくり鑑賞する機会を与えよう。
It's helpful now to be able to take a sense of scale, because all we've seen are ships compared to other ships. Like the fleets in orbit and everything. Now we know what the size of a patrol ship is. So that when we see it next to like a battleship or something, we can compare that against... No, I don't normally talk like this stuttering bit that I'm doing now. I'm trying to pause every so often to let you all see the visuals, because, you know, I have to do the whole copyright thing when I'm
これ
talking.
ほどの戦闘力を持つ船は帝国はもとより人類宇宙にも他ない。だろうね。
It does feel like you're just talking up the ship, though.
遊びもほどほどにしておけよ。伯爵公使閣下に本艇と巡察艦の違いを見ていただいたのです。どういう意味だ？
Well, at least they're enjoying themselves.
ありがとう。任務だからな。後で会えるかな。居住区は限られてるからな。会うこともあるだろう。じゃあまた。ありがとう、送ってくれて。私も楽しかった。嬉しいよ。
He's talking like he's getting away from her. I would expect her to lead him through the ship until they get everyone else. Second one in line, that's what I was talking about, is Apriel.
ご来館を光栄に存じます、閣下。巡察官ゴースロス艦長、レクシュ百姓長です。
なんだ、アーブでも初対面の時には名乗るんじゃないか。リンスーヌ・ロックハイド伯爵公使ジントです。テートまでの道中よろしくお願いします。
お任せください。
Signer, I thought he was taking control of the ship. Like being a senior in command or something.
全機関異常なし。
艦内環境異常なし。
そうだ、準備完了。
Okay, we're getting a bunch of names and
ボーラーシュ伯国艦船の総土通過許可を得ました。許可時間は艦内時間で15時27分12秒から18秒。
出港準備完了です。
oh, that didn't translate that well.
6デモンで加速。
Six demons.
ソード暴落に向かう。
176255に回答します。
承認。
So the swords are like wormholes? Sorry, I've already forgotten the beginning. I'm gonna have to take heavy notes on that again. Because they said the sword was a particle, didn't they? But then they showed it like a wormhole?
姿勢制御完了。
大精霊。
The hell was that? I mean, some sort of reactor, right? But just like,
異常なし。
the hell was that?
時空砲発生。時空砲発生期間異常なし。
Was the yin yang thing from the logo
発生確認。
space time clusters instead?
これから別の次元の宇宙に行くんですよね。
と言っても、艦内にいる限り劇的な変化はありませんよ。振動もありませんし。 ただ灰色の景色に変わるだけで。
ソード通過1分前。
30秒前より秒読み開始せよ。
了解。
I don't know, the fact he's on another planet right now from his home one from 7 years ago makes me think he would have already gone through one of these. Which is why I'm just slightly more confused too.
10、9、8、
Kind of the jump effect from Starship Troopers.
6、5、4、3、2、1、通過。
位置確認。私たちに自分の現在位置がわからないというのはご存知ですか？
どういうことです？
通常宇宙から平面宇宙に転移した場合、我々はその位置を確率論的にのみ知ることができるのです。
Yeah, it very much feels like hyperspace in like Babylon 5.
ご存知ですね。
デタラメという意味で
So
す。
that's why people in hyperspace get lost in Babylon 5 all the time.
ソードは平面宇宙側では不完全な螺旋状曲線を描いていることが多いのですが、その曲線のどの部分に出るかはわからないのです。
位置確認終了。右岸終端より11792。
承認。平面映像投影せよ。
28度で完全移動状態。
目的地ソードスファグノム航路算定せよ。
算定完了。
承認。あとは任せるアレリア航路に乗せて。
了解。
あとはいかに初めてのご体験でも退屈せずにはいられないでしょうか。
それはどうも。
This is like, yeah, this is so much more mechanical than the last 2 episodes have been.
どうしてですか？
僕には貴族としての振る舞い方が全然わかんないんです。
振る舞い方？
僕の態度って変ですか？
変？
もっと威張っているもんなんでしょうか、諸侯って。
威張っていても許されることはあります。ただし好感を持たれるとは限りません。
そうですか。じゃあそんなにおかしくないのかな。
威張っているよりはいいですよ。お疲れのご様子。
I mean, these are all human,
そろそ
right?
ろお部屋に案内させましょう。閣下を宇宙港まで迎えに行った祝儀生に。
So I'd expect like the racial
彼女
to be
彼女
arrogant
も
for
貴族
some
なんで
reason.
しょ？
いいえ。
おかしいな。彼女はいかにも貴族って感じだったけど。
彼女をご存知ない？
もしかして知らないとおかしいのですか？
いえ、閣下の生い立ちを考えれば無理もない
Everyone on this ship is coming at him like a. My god, how do you not know anything?
直ちに環境へ。
アブリアル。
彼女はクリューブ王家の王女です。皇帝ラマージュ陛下の尊女殿下にあたります。
皇族。
It looks like I called it wrong.
もう
I got that from the preview, and it looked like he was saying somebody's name he knew.
僕の感情のおなじみだった。だけど今本当に初めてこんなにでっかい当惑は過去最大。
どうしたんだジント？さっきから黙って。なんで私の後ろを歩く？
それは
Because you know where we're
皇女殿
going.
下。
私は皇女ではない。王女だ。皇帝は祖母であって、父は王に過ぎないからな。
申し訳ありません、王女殿下。
あえて皇帝陛下との関わりを重視するなら皇尊女であろうけど、公式には使わない。第一語呂が悪いじゃないか。皇尊女
They
殿
go
下
from
な
an
んて。
empress to a
そう
king.
だね。いや、そうですね、殿下。
それか
She
ら
usurped.
私は誕生した時に皇帝陛下より父を後見としてパリューニュ子爵の称号と領地をいただいている。だから時にはパリューニュ子爵殿下と呼ばれている。このところはアブリアル少子祝儀生と呼ばれることが多い。しかし私はそなたに言ったはずだな。 ラフィールと呼ぶが良いと。
友達にはラフィールってわけだね。
そうでもない。私を称号抜きで呼ぶ友達はいない。
じゃあなんで？
名を問われたのが初めてだったんだ。
Because you're weird, and I like that you're weird.
みんなが名前と顔を知っている。名乗らなくても王女殿下と呼びかけてくる。よっぽど親しくても殿下だ。衆議官で名前を呼び合う生徒たちがほんのちょっぴり羨ましかっ
The
た。
ties that bind, right?
ごめん、僕は
He thinks it's weird to be called Your Excellency. She doesn't like being called Your
気
Highness.
づいてからはなおさらだった。
本当にごめん。
謝ることはない。そなたは何も悪いことはしていないだろう。皇女殿下というのは間違っているものの、悪意はこもってないからな。無礼な呼び名を我慢するようにはしつけられてないが、正当な故障ならどれでも受けよう。休んじて王女殿下でもパリューニュ子爵殿下とでも好きに呼ぶがよいぞ、伯爵公子閣下。
いや、ぜひラフィールとだけ。
誤解するな。私は別にラフィールと呼んでほしいわけじゃないぞ。
Yeah, it kind of feels like there's a distance being created between
僕
them
は
all of
ラ
a
フィール
sudden.
とだけ呼びたいんだ。
無理することはないんだぞ。
無理なんかしてないよ。
なんなら高尊女殿下でも。
どうしたら許してくれるんだよ、ラフィール。僕にも少しだけわかるよ。
That's what I just said.
ここで僕一人が貴族だったからね。
Back to this weird game.
ここがそなたの居室だ。
さっきから気になってたんだけど、どうしてこんなに絵が描いてあるの？
ただの飾りだ。軍艦にも潤いが必要であろう。
でも調子くるんだよな。もっと宇宙
To be honest, I'm kind of
船
like
にあるんじゃないかな。
surprised
ね
their ships aren't filled with gardens and stuff. Because that's what I expected.
どう思うって？
だって本物のひまわりなんて君たちは見たことないんでしょ？
ひまわりぐらい見たことある。テートにも植物園はあるし、我が家にも花園があるぞ。
See?
じゃ
What did I
こ
expect?
んなのは？
こういうのは見たことない。確かに。
じゃあどう見える？
そうだな。夢の中の景色みたいに見える。
どこにもない場所みたいに？
そうじゃない。私たちがこの風景からやってきたことはわかる。
捨ててきた故郷か。
Why are you
今は
naked?
宇宙が故郷だ。我々だけが宇宙の民で、そのことを誇りにしている。ジントにはどう見えるんだ、あの絵が。地上ではありふれた風景か？
いや、あんな風景は地上世界にもあんまりないよ。
I mean, it is scenery of land. So technically.
あんな青い空を見ると死んだ母のことを思い出すよ。小さい頃空に行ってたんだって言われてたからね。
母親？そなたは父上の息子ではなかったのか？ハイル伯爵閣下がそなたの親子であ
The
ろう。
fuck does that
そう
mean?
だけど。
Oh, genetically engineered. Sorry, I forgot for a second.
そうか。結婚という制度について聞いたことがあるだろう。
ある。そうか。親が2人いるというのはどんなものだ？母上が亡くなった時、悲しかったか？
そりゃ悲しかったさ。
許すがよい。つまらぬことを尋ねたな。
いや、いいんだ。ちっちゃい頃のことだから本当はあんまりよく覚えてないんだ。
It's weird because it's like having a conversation with an
それ
alien,
とはよく思い出すんだけどね。
an alien that almost understands
けど
everything.
それでは出生の秘密などありようもないな。
出生の秘密？いきなりどうしてまた？
私には出生の秘密があった。自分が愛の娘かどうかわからなかったんだ。これは不安であろう。
愛の娘って、それ何？
知らないのか？
僕の受けた教育には かなり欠けている部
He
分
just
が
learned
あ
how
る
to
んで。
read.
我らの生ま
It's
れ
already
方
beyond me in that respect.
その君たちが人間の体で受胎しないことは知っているんだけど、
することもあるぞ。
でも遺伝子検査は
一旦受精卵を出す。大抵は人工子宮に移すが、たま
So
に
yeah, it's
流産
exactly
の
what I
体
said
験をした
before, I
くて
think. Last
自分の
episode
子宮
with
に
the
戻す女性もいる。
Gattaca.
なるほ
Got the
ど。
whole Gattaca thing.
けれど人工子宮で受胎するのが普通だな。確かに。
僕たちにとっては君たちアーブ全体が出生の秘密を持ってるみたいなもんだよ。そりゃ調べたけどね、なんせむちゃくちゃな記述が多くて。
どうなんだ？
自分の分子体を子供にするとか、赤の他人の遺伝子を混ぜ合わせるとか、挙句の果てに自分の同
Well,
性の遺
like
伝
that
子を
Mass
結合
Effect
させる。
race.
それも相手は親戚の人間だったりなんて、一体どうしたらそんなこと。
全部やるぞ。
え？
人それぞれの自由というものであろう。
だけど
けれど一番普通の子供の作り方は愛する人間の遺伝子と自分の遺伝子を接合させることだ。
それを聞いてほっとしたよ。
そなたの遺伝子
You
が
mean
欲しいというの
The
は
normal way
最
today.
も真剣な愛の告白の一つなんだ。この告白のもとで生まれた子供が、
分かった。愛の娘だね。
男なら愛の息子と呼ばれるけど、
でもそれなら聞いてみりゃいいじゃないか。君の親御さんに。ひょっとして君の親御さん。
ああ、私の父は存命だ。あと200年はピンピンしてるであろう。そなたの想像はそういうことか。
Which already blows his last theory of they can live up for 200
も
years
ちろん聞いて
out of the
みた。
water.
だが父は教えてくれないのだ。出生の秘密があった方が子供の人格が豊かになるとか言って。笑い事ではないぞ。
ごめん、調べられないの。
成人にならないと自分の遺伝記録は閲覧できないことになってるんだ。
そうか。
Well, kind of like if
父
she
は
was adopted.
私をからかってたんだ。
え？
私があんまり遺伝子提供者を教えてくれとせがむから、ある日その方を連れてくると言って。
そなたの半身の源ホーリアに挨拶するがよい。
うちで飼ってた猫だ。
There we go. There we go.
それまさか信じなかっただろうね。
私は8歳の子供だったんだぞ。一晩中泣いた。それからどんなに不安だったか。いつか手のひらに肉球ができるんじゃないかとか、爪の出し入れができるようになったらどうしようとか。
To be fair, it's been a long
形が変わ
time
るんじゃないか
since
と
I've
か。
seen an Aisha clan. Wouldn't mind.
ホーリアはいい猫だけど、私の半分が由来するとなると我慢できない。何より我慢できないのは、猫と子供を作るような変質者が父だったということだ。笑うなって。
ごめん。で、その疑いは晴れたんだろう。
I mean, I'm not hearing a
でも、
it's
あの不安な日々の
impossible.
ことは忘れないぞ。私が早く将士になりたくて軍に入ったのも、あの父の元を離れたかったからだ。
お父さんが嫌いなの？
嫌いではない。愛しているし、誇りに思ってい
It
る。
kind of seemed very
た
playful
だあの人
when
の
you
そ
were
ば
a
にいる
kid.
と、時々苛立たしくなるんだ。
で、さっきから過去形で言ってるけど、もう教えてもらったの？
私がよく知っている女性だった。私は愛の娘だったんだ。
For half of a second, I was thinking, oh, is it Rena? It's like, no, wait, she's older than he is. That wouldn't be possible.
僕らはその頃、これから起ころうとしている長い長い戦争のことなんかちっとも知らなかったのだ。
人類統合体。
I guess I'm sort of confused. Because it seemed like a long war was already happening, right? And now they just said a long war is about to start? So I was a bit thrown there by the names. Oh, that makes more sense now. She thought she was part cat. But, that's not even the right cat. By the names going by in the credits, like, I don't recognize that name, and I just remembered, oh, this is the episode with a bunch of new characters. Like I said, she seemed to have a pretty happy childhood. Even if her dad messed with her about, hey, who's my mom? They don't seem like they're from a society where that would matter too much. It seems like she's just curious, and that's all. Also, god damn it, I've already forgotten. Was that the United Mankind? In which case, I feel like I'm right. Like, maybe we're just fighting Earth. Or, you know, the fact that they want to conquer all of space. Assumedly, the Earth that sent out colony ships all over the place is going to be like, no? How about no? And have, you know, united against their progeny?
さあ、お行きなさい。
ラフィール。
まだなのか。
黙って。
We happened right into the war? I guess so. Okay. I think it's gonna be another misread. Also, by the way, that seemed to be in the tongue of the Ab. So was it that if you watched the preview, even then you wouldn't know the name of the next episode until you figured out how to read the Ab tongue? If so, oh, way to mess with the audience, but at the same time, bravo. I like that. Figure out the language, or you're never gonna know what the next episode's about. That's good. That's good. I mean, it doesn't play well when you're got subtitles on, obviously, because I'm just reading Surprise Attack and not doing the work. I appreciate, though, that I guess if you watch this in Japanese without subtitles, you had to do the work. Especially back when this came out, right? I don't know. I guess this isn't like a 70s anime, so maybe not. But yeah, I'm just saying, I appreciate it. My thought there for a second was, oh, I forgot her name already. Let's see, it's in my notes from last time because it showed up at the start, the preview of the episode last. Captain, or I guess it's actually his commander this time, Lex Shu. It almost felt to me like Lex Shu was being presented in the next time on, right? So obviously it's meant to be misinterpreted to some degree. That the way her and Lafiel was talking, it's like, oh, is Captain Lex Shu her mother? That's why she said somebody who's been close to me this whole time. It's like, well, if you serve on the ship, and maybe you're trying to get away from your dad, you would go to the ship your mother commands, right? And maybe that would also be why it's the ship she claims is the most powerful in the entire fleet in all of space, in fact. Because who else would your dad assign to that ship, right? Other than your mother? I don't know. I'm still thrown by the Empress not being Empress to King route. That also seemed a bit weird, but again, I'll take that down in the notes. God, this was just one episode to throw you into the weeds. I gotta figure out the sport thing again when I take the notes. Obviously, there's a bunch of characters now, and maybe I'll do that in the notes area too. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. That's a lot of extra time. I got other stuff to record today, but this is not to cast aspersions onto the other things I'm recording solo today, but this is the most interesting one of the two things I'm recording. Uh, maybe I will. Maybe I'll make the concept board. I kind of have to. I have been pushing off doing the concept board only because the moment I start making the concept board, I'm going to start seeing pictures of people that may be taken from further along in the series, or I'm going to see how many people there are in the series. In which case, then I'm going to start knowing how many people there are versus just being introduced to them. So, yeah. Yeah, I think I'm just going to go ahead and get to notes. There's so much. There's so much that was introduced. We have the backstories of characters, how they interact. We got how they give birth or how they choose to, and the possibilities of. We got how interstellar travel works. Even the briefest hints of what the war is about, not what the war is about, but who it's with, which is tied into both episodes that came before it to give context to what we saw. Especially the next episode's called Surprise Attack, and it seemed like every other fight that's been happening wasn't I'm just ranting. I'm sorry, I'm just ranting. I'm gonna get into the notes. I'm gonna do that thing that I've done the last two episodes. You'll see me after that. I'll catch you after the soundtrack. Alright, everybody. I'm back from my notes. I was going to do a board. But the normal process that I go through to do a board is actually relatively simple. Now, sometimes it becomes a little less not simple, or a little bit more not simple. I'm dumb. A little less not simple, like with Legend of the Galactic Heroes, where the characters don't exist on, like, the thing that I normally take the images from, and I have to just make like a time code note when I'm making notes for that show to go back and then collect the character images myself, snip them out, then put them on the board. Well, as it turns out, all the characters I want to keep track of in this show just aren't on the on my typical images area. So I think I'm gonna have to do my thing with Legends and just go back, take images myself, and then make the board from there. So that's going to take a bit more time than I want to try and do my little fast forward clippage. And there really wouldn't be any point for that. I could just show you the end result, and I think that would be fine. So maybe I'll do that next episode before we meet more characters, and I'm going to just make a bigger pile for myself. Otherwise, things I thought worthy of noting this episode that the OB aim to control the secret of hyperspeed flight, indicating that they don't already. I mean, it seems to me like they do, but I don't know who the narrator is. Like, if the narrator is a character in this world, and they're talking about their personal experiences, then they're indicating to me that they aim to control it, which means that they don't. It's either that or whoever. Hold on, I wrote their name down as a question for someone. Whoever the United Mankind is might actually control the secret. Especially considering they said that all of this happened in the solar system at the beginning, which means if the United Mankind is actually headquartered like on old Earth or whatever, that maybe they hold the original secrets. I think I'm jumping the gun there because that's our thoughts further down the line. Let's see. When I watched the ending and thought that Captain Lexu might be Lafiel's mother, it would go a ways to explain why she goes on to show off the Gosroth so much. I mean, Lafiel, obviously, not Lexu. At the very beginning of the episode, Lafiel's like, "Oh, look at the ship. Let me tell you all about it. I'm so proud." She's showing her pride in her mother via the ship that she commands. Now, obviously, she might not have normal human emotions, so who knows? That was my read into it. By the way, if you saw me pause for a really long time on a meaningless scene, what was happening was as I was going back to episode 1, and they were talking about like the special new particle and stuff that they discovered, and I was tying that into what I had already written down about Sword from this episode and plane stuff. So if it looked like I was weirdly focused on some meaningless freeze frame, know that I was actually watching another episode again in the side of that, or not the full episode, just like the beginning, and then I had to figure out if it was a second episode, first episode. So that was what that was all about. I did make a note to go back to minute 613 of this episode just to whenever I learn the language so I can read what was on their printout because I'm gonna want to do that for everything once I know how the language works. Let's see. Lafiel's experience at the academy was basically a mirror to Jinto's, which we got with the shot of his sports team earlier. But it only really hit me thinking about Doran's conversation with Jinto at the spaceport, where he said that they wouldn't have treated him the same if they had known he was nobility. Lafiel essentially is saying that she's been too famous to have even gotten as far as people not knowing she was Your Highness. So what he experienced at the end of his academy days, when he revealed it to everybody, or I guess it was revealed for him, Lafiel never got the chance. She's always been isolated like that, which is not something I was immediately picking up on. I was picking up on Jinto's half of it. But, you know, in the moment, I'm a bit dumber than the dumb I am normally. Okay. My understanding of Sword. Now, this is going to be the really showing off how dumb I am. Being that it was one of my primary questions from episode 1 is that they are like wormholes to the second dimension, is basically how I'm interpreting what this episode went on to tell us. If you've ever read Flatland, you'll know what I'm talking about, but here we call it plane space. Pretty sure Orville and Futurama also had episodes where they go to a version of Flatland as well, if you want a popular media example of this very same concept. It seems like these wormholes are either created using Yuanon, or Yuanon is a particle used in the creation of spatial clusters in order to travel through a sword into plane space. If I misunderstood any of that, of course correct me, but only do so if it doesn't spoil anything in the future. I'm going to travel back up my notes here just to clarify anything. Let's see. I wrote down sword. Key to plane space travel. My little glossary of terms that I'm slowly building up as I discover things. So location at space that they head to looks like a wormhole thing. Parentheses, maybe a white hole or a different dimension of space. Episode 1 says. Presents as incomplete spiral curves on the side of plane space, which again fits into what I'm thinking of if it is Flatland. Because if you consider what's a third dimensional figure passing through flatland look like to a flatlander? The same sort of thing of what would a fourth dimensional creature look like to us? Of course, UAnon, a newly discovered elementary particle with a great mass and energy tied to the space-time cluster generators that the ship uses to travel across plane space. And plane space travel at hyperspeed across space. Physical laws differ from that of normal space. 2 dimensions of space and 1 of time. That's where I wrote down parentheses flatland. ABH interstellar ships travel through it, enveloped in a spatial cluster separate from normal space. Can only estimate position when in plane space based on theoretical probabilities. So that was my physics of the show terms usage. Other than that, I really only wrote down some more words. Westage is a measure of length. Daemons is a unit of acceleration. Birth secrets. Let's see. I don't think I added anything to the Humankind Empire description. I added Daughter of Love because it just seems like something that might come up again. The Gosroth is the most advanced ship in the Empire, more firepower than any ship in the Empire, or all of humanity, which I guess is a good brag, considering that we're going to reach the united mankind at some point, and mankind is humanity. 12.82 westage in length, smaller than a frontline battleship or transport. Don't know the westage yet is. We're watching Macross, and I've already equated what Macross itself is related to an Imperial Star Destroyer. So I figure that's going to be my normal basis of example. So once I know what a westage is, I can say how close that is to an Imperial Star Destroyer. I'm not even that big of a Star Wars fan, so it's just, it's funny. But hey, we're about to get into this show. We're going to go into a long, long war in space. A space war, if you will. Alright, going back down to my notes here. It's funny to consider that Jinto thinks of the Ab as having abandoned their home, but Lafiel corrects him to say that they are the sole inhabitants of space and proud of it. Just another different points of view thing going on, right? Jinto is like real quick to thrust his opinion in there, but Lafiel's own pride in her people, just auto corrects for him. Jinto's mom is dead, but they've done that thing where he says it in such an ambiguous way. She left for the skies. That I can't help but wonder if they've left an opening for her to return in a miscommunication sort of way, like he misinterpreted what they said. Hell, what if Jinto's mother turns out to be Lafiel's mother? I know what I said about my theory with the captain earlier, but it would be the weird sort of poetic entanglement these sorts of operas, these space operas even, love to roll around in. I know it doesn't make much sense considering that the Ob control, or at least seem to control, the only means of traveling from system to system with the whole sword thing. So it doesn't seem likely that there's been any way for Jinto's mom to have gotten to, like, the capital. But who knows, right? This is weird. This is gonna be just a weird thing that happened. Like, oh, when the thing exploded, I got sent there. Or I got picked up by an alien ship when Leif Erikson exploded. Or who the hell knows? I'm just saying that they've said it in an ambiguously weird way. He said that she died, and then he said she left for the skies. Not she went to heaven, or I don't know. If this is the way like Shinto people talk or something like that, then fair enough. I'm just used to so many loopholes in the things that unreliable narrators say that I'm always like, that doesn't sound right, and I wait for it. I sit and I wait. I have to wonder if the Asari from Mass Effect aren't inspired by the Ab. The Ob procreate almost exactly like the Asari do, just with the added bit of genetic modification. The Asari are only different for being all blue women. The Obs seem to have both sexes and only have blue uniforms and hair. So, I'm well aware of the fact that Mass Effect came out after Crest of the Stars. It just seems funny that they're so. Like, this is episode 3, and they're like, yeah, we do all of those things. And it's like, those are all the things the Asari say that they do. So, it's either just a weirdly coincidental thing, or this inspired that. Lafiel's story about finding out that she might be part cat just happened just a year before Jinto's dad, according to Teal, sold out Martine. If it happened when she was 9, it would have been happening in exactly the same year, right? Meaning that there would have been a better chance of Jinto being trying to be hidden by Teal in the family estate the same time that Lafiel is crying that she might be part cat. It is a funny juxtaposition I thought was worthy of note. Let's see, there's time for a new question to be answered. Who are the United Mankind? I feel like the sword question has been answered enough that I'm not going to be bringing it up as the main question anymore from my list of questions. Now it's going to be, who are the United Mankind, and what happened to Rena? Very confused about Rena, specifically because when I was going to try and make the board, there was a listing of a bunch of characters. Um, Not on the main place. I went to my secondary place, and even it lacked most of the people I was looking for, which tells me that they're not important, which is something I was afraid might happen if I went to try and make a board. But it also did not have Rena on it. And it's like, okay, on either Rena changes her name at some point and is going to appear later as somebody else, or Rena is just fucking gone. Either way, she's staying on my list of questions. Like, this just might turn into like the Bermuda Triangle of never to be answered questions, but what happened to Rena is going to stay on here from episode 1 until we find out, and don't spoil it. My final thought, worthy of note for today, from me anyway, was the ending song from Crest of the Stars. For some reason, I guess maybe the voice, the person singing, or even little bits of the audio, the musical score itself, really reminded me of the ending credit song for Serial Experiments Lane. Now, of course, I didn't have a chance to look it up, see if they were the same people or not, but I don't know. The Serial Experiments Lane just sounds like a more energetic version of this, or this sounds like a really slowed down version of that one. I don't know. Feelings that I had right there at the end. I was already typing out a bunch of other stuff on here, and it just occurred to me all of a sudden. Other than that, I don't think beyond like more notes like Halia is Lalafell's cat, and oh, I guess the other thing that not shocked me, surprised me a bit. I was writing down the names of the crew of the Gosroth, and they all have multiple jobs, and that kind of threw me because I thought like in most of these shows, well, I guess it's said that this is a lot like Legend of the Galactic Heroes, and in Legend of the Galactic Heroes they always have like a political position, and then they have their military rank. And I guess it's kind of like that. Like for example, Desh, right? Desh is a secretary apparently, but he's also the cheap supply cheap. That's not great. He's the chief supply officer. I think a couple of them even have 3 jobs. Liaria, Learia, Laaria, blah blah. Anyway, she's executive officer, senior navigator, and chief pilot. So yeah, a lot of these people wear many different hats. Anything else? No, everything else is just character notes. Like, I went into depth that Lafiel is also Ariel. That's just a mistake that I made. I didn't even realize it when I was watching the show originally. I I just didn't put it together that when he is talking about Lafiel and not understanding who she is, and she summons Abrielle, pilot trainee, to the bridge, that Abrielle is just another name for her, I guess, because none of the other crew were named Abrielle, and it's like, wait, what? So yeah, Lafiel, aka Abrielle, aka Viscount Periuno, Periuno, uh, part of the imperial family, granddaughter of Her Majesty Empress Ramage. Father is the king. I thought that was kind of funny too. Like, last thought before I wrap up here. I appreciate that her grandmother was Empress Ramage, which puts her into a imperial family because she was an empress. But for some reason, her dad is a king, which makes him part of a royal family. So depending on who you want to attach her to, she's either part of the her imperial highness, which she doesn't love, or she's her royal highness, which she also apparently doesn't love. So it's just funny to be part of two different versions of royalty. Kind of funny. Anyway, I think that's been the vast majority of my thoughts, at least in the note-taking portion of all this. So I think with that, I'm just gonna wrap it up for today. Start doing that long process of editing, which I ranted about the other night on Discord. That spent 2 hours watching a thing get video rendered, and realized I made a mistake right at the very end and had to do another 2 hours. Anyway, I'm rambling. I apologize. I have been Theta. This has been another episode of Crest of the Stars. Once again, love you all for joining me. I'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another Stone-Faced Reactions. If you have an idea of another video we could go ahead and watch, go ahead and put it in the comments down below and we'll add it to the wheel. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe and let us know what you thought about this video, what parts you liked. And until then, we'll see you next time. Is this too goofy?